Hello, 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 and subtitles are working, always good. Hello everyone, hello, my name is Fiona, I use she, her pronouns, and this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs, in which, for an hour or two every couple of days, I take an RPG I've seen in my various library, or the dusty folders of my Google Drive, and go, I should read this, and find out a bit more. And it's an accountability stream in which I read through my RPGs as a way to get better at reading aloud. Oh, hello, Kat, shouldn't you be at UK Games Expo? I didn't expect anyone to be here for today. Where I look through my stuff, read aloud, and we look at RPGs that interest us, up and coming, maybe a bit popular in the past, and we look at what we like about them, what we think, if anything, can be improved, as a critique rather than criticism, and, of course, if there's anything accessible that we should be aware of. So we're in the living room watching you. Well, that is absolutely terrifying. Please don't put me on the big screen. It's like, I always imagine like Teletubbies, or even like an older reference of Power Rangers. I'm Zorgon. Like, but I hope you guys are doing well. And yes, and I hope for those people who are currently this weekend having fun at UK Games Expo, I'm not jealous at all. No, I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. And like, it's nice. I think UK Games Expo, I've been a couple of times now. It's such a nice little community, and there's always some good, interesting artist stuff for tabletop RPG stuff, even though it's more of a board games place. And I know there's lots of UK tabletop RPG people going this weekend. I know there's some podcast shows happening and stuff like that. So if you are around, do go check out all the stuff that's happening, I think, in the Piazza Suites, which are always hidden away, but go check those stuff out and just go support your local content creators who are basically doing all the heavy lifting so you guys don't have to, just like the stream. Hello. Right, so I'm just going to go straight into it. So today, friends, we're going to be looking at Castles in the Air, the preview chapter by Storybrewers Publishing, which is, if you are fans of this, whatever this is, on tabletop RPGs in general, you will know that Storybrewers Publishing, they are the game designers behind the critically acclaimed Good Society, the Jane Austen RPG, but also with Team Spirit, I think that's what it's called. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to get Fight with Spirit. There we go. Fight with Spirit, which is a coming of age sports drama tabletop RPG, which is absolutely cracking, and we covered both of those recently on this channel, and this is their latest one, Castles in the Air, which I'm very excited about. We have a preview chapter to look at today, which is freely available on their Kickstarter, which I will pull up in a second. It's not a quick start. I just want to put that straight out there at the beginning. It's not a quick start because if you've played any of Storybrewers games before, you know that it's very hard to have a quick start of their games. And I want to put that straight up at the front. Excuse me. What I love about Storybrewers games is that they're the complete package. You get a full experience, but that means you're in for the long haul. So I do know that, if you do not have the time or the wherewithal to do a 6 to 8 sessions of a game, which are 3 to 4 hours long, then maybe these games aren't for you. But I do think that Storybrewers, they are some of the best people in terms of game design. There's some people that, if you see, they've done lots of panels as well on game design, which I think is absolutely cracking. So I do recommend checking them out. So I appreciate at the top of the thing, it's maybe a different RPG to ones we've looked at in the last couple of weeks, which are more like one-shots or just like 1 or 2 sessions perhaps. So just want to head that up right there. Also, not sponsored by them at all. This is me just freely looking at stuff. Also, not a game designer technically. I run lots of RPGs. I've got What Am I Rolling, which is a podcast RPG, actual play podcast, and we've also got the DM's Book Club where we talk about D&D books. So I've never designed my own games or anything like that, but I've read a lot of them and I've run a lot of them. So I think I have an idea of what works and what doesn't for me, but that doesn't mean it works for everyone. And I think it's very good to read as much RPGs as you can if you can't play them, because then you've got an idea what's in the market, what trends are stuff are, and how to create stories, because anyone can create stories, and it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you're able to create them. And yeah, that's my big soapbox. I'll get off it, don't worry. I'll get away from Big Fiona screen as well, and we'll go over to, now have I set this up correctly? We'll find out. I have, hooray. So this is storybrewersplaying.com. Edward Spence, what the hell are you doing here? You're also at UK Games Expo. Get back to buying stuff, my friend. What are you doing here? But nice to see you, my friend. Have you had a look at the preview chapter yourself? Are you running it? That's what I'm interested in, because I know you are a Good Society fan as well. Anyway, we always start with a quick look. But I'm poor. Oh no, Ed Spence, no, but you're rich with friends? Question mark. Oh, that's a shame. But I hope you're having a good time, my friend, and thanks for joining. I very much appreciate it. So Castles in the Sky. It's Castles in the Sky. So this is the thing. I always keep saying Castles in the Sky rather than Castles in the Air. And I don't know why. I think it's a Studio Ghibli reference. I'm not sure. Yeah, Ed Spence, go back to buy things. Jen Burb, what are you doing here? You guys are all at UK Games Expo. You should be out having fun, socialising. If you're all sat next to each other, like on your phones, not talking, that's very bad form. You guys, I'm 6 time zones away. I'd be going to get stuff. Anyway, so we've got Castles in the air. So this is what it looks like on the actual website. Again, you've got Kickstarter now, so a coming-of-age tabletop RPG. Can you guys see that? Don't worry, we're talking sometimes. Okay, good. I'm glad. Am I just the background noise? We are perceived. Hello, JC Darcy. Hello, friend. How are you doing? Yes, I all assume you're just all sitting there making notes at the back of the class and then laughing and then God knows what else you're doing. And I'm just saying, pay attention. So we've got a coming-of-age RPG about who we are and who we become. Tell stories like Little Women and Anne of Green Gables in the standalone successor to Good Society. Roll credits. Start as children with boundless dreams. As years pass, relationships and choices of your youth will determine the person you grow up to become. How will the world change you and how will you change the world? What a nice little summary. I like that. Done. 2 to 5 player, including the facilitator, and, of course, online play support included. I'll be interested to see what they do for the online play stuff. Presumably it won't be shown in the preview chapter, because previously when we had the Good Society it came out just before the pandemic. It was all sort of Google Sheets and whatnot. I wonder if anything's changed from that. That's fine. Jen is lying. We're all huddled next to Soul Muppet, ignoring one each other, and focused solely on our one shared phone. Poor Soul Muppet. You should be buying stuff from Zach at least. Especially, yeah, they've got Paint the Town Red and all sorts there. And they've got some cracking designs. What I did last UK Games Expo is I went through and I was like, ooh. And then I realised I don't buy Zines anymore because I have nowhere to display them, so they just all end up as a big pile. That's good. If you ask Darsky, you and I are giggling, Kath. We did. We spent so much money today. Yeah, thank you for your push. Yeah, guys, you have my... Hang on, big screen. My name is Fiona Howard, and I give you permission to buy that dice set. I mean, I joke. I have got my own... my second half, my ride or die, Liz Campbell, is on the floor UK Games where she's just bought me a teacup dice tray because I sent her the clip saying, you need to go buy this. So, you know... There's also a lady there that's selling amazingly cool leather jackets that say Dungeon Master on them, and I'm there like... Does she send them to the US? Because I want a leather jacket, even though it is far too hot. So, what have we got? Castles in the Air. It's a collaborative RPG designed to tell stories like... I've said this. Set in the late 19th century, it follows a group of children who grow up together and remain connected even as they head their separate ways. It is a game about their dreams, cares and struggles, their personal growth and failings, and above all else, what they mean to each other as the years pass. So when you play Castles in the Air, you will create your own Gilded Age character. I love that term, Gilded Age. Oh, Beth says hello. Okay, sorry, I realise that my WhatsApp is open now. Thanks, Liz Campbell. Teacup acquired. What was I saying? Create your own Gilded Age character, follow their journey from childhood into adulthood and beyond. Watch their desires shift and grow as the world around them changes too. Explore complex and heartfelt relationships. Perhaps you'll go from childhood enemies to adult lovers, or best friends to bitter enemies. Or perhaps you'll never quite understand what you mean to each other, as your heart shifts and surges with the passing of time. Hello, Sakaya. Hello, my friend. How are you doing? I didn't realise you weren't at UK Games Expo. I just assumed everyone was. So I hope you're not missing out too much, my friend. But it was great to have you on the stream yesterday. It was very valuable, your thoughts for the Babes in the Wood stream. So hopefully you'll find this one equally as interesting. I hope you're doing well with whatever it is you're doing just now. Struggle against your inner demons, battle or harness your bosom enemy. Your character's greatest fault that will plague them throughout their life. Liz, stop sending me messages. Let me just... Hang on. I'm going to mute... Hang on. Turn all not... There we go. No one can hear me getting stuff. Pleasure. Oh, that's so kind. your character's greatest fault that will plague them throughout their life, the worst part of their nature. It will shape not just your own future, but how the world sees you. And change with the changing times. Your character isn't the only one that's changing. As the 19th century draws to its close, the world is becoming more industrialized, more connected, and the town you come from will not be the same as you remember. Ooh. Oh, how cute are these drawings? They're great. So we've got character roles, your family, your castle in the air, and your desire, and your closest relationships. And then we've got all that stuff there. And if we go to the Kickstarter, how gorgeous is this? Sorry, I should have scrolled up the top. I will say the art is fantastic. I love it so much. This sort of like beautiful, sort of like almost watercolors-esque. You've got obviously all these accolades for Good Society. Yeah, you go. It just came out just before the pandemic, 2018 there, you see. Support, stories we've seen. One thing I always point this out in Kickstarters, it's nice to have Kickstarters that aren't full art with the top bit. There is text, so you can actually read it right at the top. You don't have to go right to the bottom of it. There is no alt text. To be fair, I don't know if Kickstarter does alt text, but I've just noticed it so much now because someone was like, what if the image doesn't work? As I've discovered with my own academic stuff. But this is where you can get the preview thing. I think if you also sign up to their mailing list, you can also get the preview as well. So here is where you can get the sneak preview of Chapter 1. And if you're coming from Good Society, you might be asking, what's different? It isn't just that you start playing the game as children, although that's always fun. It's the way they play. It's the way that playing out the shared history of your characters creates stories you could never dream of if you start the game as adults. Castles in the Air adds dreams and bosom enemies to the heart of every character and reflects these over time in a truly unique way. Nice. So there you go. So if people are like, oh, do I need to play Good Society to play Castles in the Air? You don't. But it is a very similar system, as you'll see. So if you are very familiar with Good Society, then this should be fairly straightforward or easy to get. And I will say again as well, I think some people find it a little bit intimidating. Certainly when I first read Good Society, I was like, gosh, there's a lot of like structure and admin and like bits of paper. But I think it's important. You can't really miss out certain elements of it, and certainly there are the hacks of it, the upstairs downstairs one where it's like you double the admin, but it creates such rich stories as a result. So I think it's worth certainly reading through as well, and I do recommend playing it through if you can. It's that's the thing. I think the thing that Good Society and all Story Brewer games maybe suffers from is getting people in at the ground level, but I think once you've got them, you're done for life. And the problem then is just scheduling, which is everyone's problem in tabletop RPGs, is scheduling and times, as we all know. Right, moving over. Let's go away, Kickstarter. I do not wish to see you anymore. I wish to see the Castles in the Air Adobe Reader. There we go. So here's the preview page of the artwork. One thing I'd say, there was a great blog that I saw today, which I'm going to quickly find and put it in the chat. That you can look at in your own time, but it talks about the art of the cover for tabletop RPGs, and actually I think it's an interesting read. As someone who doesn't really do graphic design or anything like that, I think it does a good overall take on stuff and looks at lots of different examples. So I'm going to put that in the chat for people to have a look at in their own time. Just because it's the cover is what mostly people go, oh yeah, I want to buy that, and then look at it. And what's interesting is at the top it takes like Warhammer Fantasy, various like D&D obviously, and it looks all the same image of some sort, like adventurous 13th Age as well, or like a group of 5 to 6 people like fighting something, or in a brawl, which made me chuckle quite a bit. Right, so here we go. So we've got Castles in the Air, we've got this the preview page, people running away, lovely. Let me just check. No alt text. That is a shame. But can't win them all, can you? Oh, we've got 2 pages. No. Let's go to single page view so poor old Fiona can read. Let's see. So welcome to the preview of Castles in the Air. Castles in the Air is a collaborative tabletop role-playing game designed to tell stories like Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. Set in the late 1800s, it follows a group of children who grow up together and remain connected even as they head their separate ways. It tells the story of their dreams, cares and struggles, their personal growth and failings, and above all else, what they mean to each other as the years pass. Based on the award-winning system for Good Society, Castles in the Air is a heartfelt and dramatic exploration of self. It takes your character all the way from their early teens through young adulthood and even to the age where they have children of their own. In this first preview, you'll see Chapter 1, which outlines the main concepts of the game. It's not a playable quick start, but rather introduces you to what it's like to play Castles in the Air. We hope it fills you with dreams about the characters you can play and the stories you can tell. Nothing you see in this preview is completely final, so that's good to know, as the game is still production. After all, we're hoping to add some exciting stretch goals. And look at that, so you get... So as I was saying before, so obviously this is the mock-up of the book, but here's the mock-up of the base deck. So I was going to say Powered by the Apocalypse. It's because we've been looking at too many Powered by the Apocalypse games. Penned by Good Society games often use cards or sort of board game elements to ways to track things. You don't need the cards like physically. There's ways to get them on digitally as well. But I will say, as somebody who was like a bit sniffy at that sort of thing, going, oh, do we need it? I'm just looking over there because I do have my actual copy somewhere over there of Good Society. The cards really helped, certainly if you're in person doing character creation and you could just hand over things, and it felt really good to have in your hand and keep like your desire secret and like, oh, the relationship you're handing it. Like, it just felt really collaborative, and I don't know, it was a nice thing to do. So one thing I would definitely say, if you have the privilege to be able to play in person, try and do that. And yeah, again, you don't need to buy the base set. You could print these things out as well. But there was just something about it, being able to do the collaboration in person, that was just really special. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say on that. The other thing as well, it's interesting because we've been looking at a couple of games recently which look at like stories of people, starting as children or playing as children in RPGs. I think I mentioned this yesterday. So in improv, we're told right at the beginning, don't play children. Never endow someone else as a child in the scene unless they're comfortable with it, obviously, or if that's the vibe you're going for. And the reason is, as I said at the time, either as soon as a child is introduced to the scene, either it gets weird because of some certain maybe sexual connotations, or it becomes horror and there could be violence or even killing towards children or murder, all that sort of thing. And you know, it sounds like I'm being silly. The amount of times it's happened when suddenly a child is introduced, people can't help but do it. It's really weird, and maybe that's just certain improvisers, I don't know. But what I like about these stories is that it tells you from the start, it sets that expectation, like, you're going to start as children and then we're going to grow up, or you can play children throughout this. Play to the top of your intelligence. Don't be idiots. Don't just play this. Have that intelligence to be the. How am I putting this right? Yeah, it's just play to the top of the intelligence. Don't disrespect that. Don't punch down. What was it? There was something recently. Oh, I know what it was. It was Space Babies and Doctor Who. That was it. Again, I won't go on my Doctor Who rant because there's no point with that. Here's this. Absolutely not. Sorry, let me get rid of that. Whoever that person was, bloody hell. There's a long thing in it. It was like, 18s only. I was like, that's not for me, thank you. What was I going to say? So, Space Babies, Doctor Who. Regardless of the story, the thing I disliked the most about that story is that they had children, like babies in it, like who had done a big thing. They were surviving, like manning a crew, and the doctor and the assistant were like sort of like, oh, how sweet, oh, so cute, and I'm like, no, treat them like they want help. Don't like undermine their decisions that they've done for like 3 or 4 years. They've managed to keep this thing afloat. So yeah, I always think that just respect the characters at whatever age they are, and treat them with kindness and respect, and play to the top of their intelligence. Anyway, off the soapbox. So, what's changed from Good Society? To play in the North American setting in the 1870s and beyond, with its specific values, expectations, and of course, fashion trends. We love it. We love a good bonnet. Start as children with childhood fascinations and big dreams. Tell the story of how it all began and build up the unique dynamics of your childhood friendship group. Play your characters through a long span of time and see how they change as the complexities of adult life arises. Your time as children gives you emotionally rich storylines to explore that would never unfold if you started the game as adults. Play characters from a wide range of backgrounds and parts of society, all the way from the wealthy old elite to an orphan like Anne from Anne Green Gables, or who has nothing of her own. Struggle against a bosom enemy, such as anger, perfection, or impulsiveness, that will haunt you lifelong. Learn to channel it to help you or face problems it can wreak in your adult life, and much more. Read on for a glimpse of how Castles in the Air is unique. I like that. Again, we talked about it with Paint to Town Red. We've got the bullet points are actually good. At least here, I know it's sort of like, why? What's different? So it makes total sense here. Very cute bullet points. I love the colours as well. The sort of purple and gold. Wouldn't necessarily put those colours together myself, but they look really nice here. Also, what's quite nice, I guess, with the preview as well. This preview, by the way, is about 33 pages, so it's quite short. But already they're like, hey, if you like this, please sign up to the newsletter, back the Kickstarter, tell any little women friends that you know, and join the Discord to be part of the discussion. Great. I think that's it. You know what? Not many quick starts do that. In, like, you know, when we do Kickstarter, say, hey, you want to check out our new Kickstarter? I don't think they have that at the top anymore. Or not that I've seen recently, so that's good. Also, nice to see that these are hyperlinked. Makes total sense. And we've got the game credits there as well. Excuse me. Oh, this is going to be a 2-pager. Let's see. Oh, no, it's not. For some reason, I thought it was a 2-pager. But my God, look how cracking that overview is. The gold gildedness. It's gorgeous, huh? I love it. Oh, no, that's the wrong button. There we go. No alt text, unfortunately, but I love the colours on it. All right, so let's see. Can we see? I'm going to move it over ever so slightly. There we go. So, Chapter 1, Overview. A game of becoming, creating a story together, the players, the facilitator, the flow of play, major characters, and other game concepts. A Castle in the Air is a dream for the future. For the past few years, it has been our dream to share with you a collaborative role-playing game inspired by the writings of Louisa May Alcott and L.M. Montgomery. In Castles in the Air, you work together to tell the stories of complex and lovable characters making their way through life, like those in Little Women or Anne of Green Gables. Your story will be brand new and filled with unique themes and characters you'll always want to explore. My question, then, right at the top. So I know with Good Society, it is this cycle of play, as it says there, or the flow of play, it says here, where there's bits where you can, you do the role play bits with each other, and then there's the admin, and it goes on. Does it depend on, like, do you cycle through, like, okay, so the first section, the first chapter, we are as children, and then the next time we come around to role play, you are as adults, and then back to it? Or do you do 3 or 4 sessions as your childhood character, and then you grow up? Like, is it like a gradual passing of time? I think that latter way would work better than like going back and forth personally. Although I know back and forth can be really interesting. Because we looked at that with that We Used to Fly Here, which was that theme park game we talked about, which was just basically improvised storytelling. But it was, yeah, I really liked that one. Okay, so excuse me. There we go. So, Castles in the Air. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat today. Really weird. So, Castles in the Air is a pen to good society game about the journey from childhood to adulthood and beyond. It explores how our past influences are present and maintains its hold on us throughout the years and what we choose to let go of. It is a game about becoming. Sometimes this means becoming who you are, who you always thought you would. Other times it means setting aside with regret the person you always thought you'd be. Or perhaps you'll find something completely new and different that makes you happier than any of the old dreams you dreamed for yourself. More importantly, Castles in the Air is designed to tell the stories you've always wanted to tell. It's a deeply customizable game that provides you with a structure, but lets you sculpt the setting, tone, and content throughout play, so every game is different. In this game, you and your fellow players will work together to create your own Alcott or Montgomery-style novel. You'll take on the role of a major character similar to those found in their books, from a wide-eyed orphan who grows into an idealistic shaper of minds, to a golden youth who grows up to discover that because everyone always gave them exactly what they wanted, they never learned how to say no to themselves. But your influence over the story does not end with your major characters. Players in Castles in the Air hold power to control the story itself and change it to produce more drama, romance, and scandal. To take the role of influential connections, spread rumours, and orchestrate events from charity concerts to worker strikes and even marriages. This book contains all the rules you'll need to play Castles in the Air, along with some helpful tips for customising your characters and a wealth of information about the characters and the settings of Alucard and Montgomery's work. We have provided the author's tools, but the fate of the characters and the town you create is entirely up to you and your friends. Ooh, do we get some town creation? That'll be quite fun. So what's in this book? Again, we've only got chapter 1, but it'd be good to know. It's only 6 chapters and then there's 10. So chapter 1 is where you find yourself now, introduce you to the main game concepts and the play materials and provide an overview of how to play. 2 and 3 explains the collaboration and backstory steps you'll complete once at the beginning of the game, so yeah, very similar to Good Society. Chapter 4 goes into more details of the rules of play, expanding on what we've covered in chapter 1. 5 and 6 cover the phases of play that will make up the childhood and the first part of the game. Chapter 5 contains the structure of play during childhood, whilst Chapter 6 explains the passage of time that takes the characters from childhood to adults and the transition to adult phase that functions as a second backstory to define who the characters are as adults. Right, I understand now. So maybe then, is it more... I mentioned that Good... I know it's not called Upstairs, Downstairs. That's a TV show, but in Good Society there is one of the settings is where you can have... You go through the first cycle as your major characters, as the sort of the upstairs characters of the family, and then halfway through you start another backstory phase where you then create the servants' roles, and you then have 2 major characters as a result, and then their lives, and it's sort of like almost a day phase and a night phase sort of thing, which I would love to play. I think that'd be quite fun, but it might be a lot for someone's first game of Good Society. Chapter 7 explains how the game is played once the characters reach adulthood and the cycle of play that is used throughout the rest of the game. Chapter 8 contains advice for the facilitator, so that's the name of the games master for this, and the rules for playing without one. So yeah, Good Society, you don't have to have someone that does it. I mean, my recommendation is that you should, certainly for your first time, just so that someone has on track and can be like, okay, we're going to move on from the story phase now, or just is in charge of the collaboration. Like that person that has the final say. Chapter 9 and 10 gives more information on the setting and the source material and the types of characters found within it. These chapters provide more information and inspiration for use in your game. So yes, this is what I did love about Good Society is obviously, the people who've written the systems have obviously absolutely loved these books, that they had essays and giving information and sort of advice about, like, if you've never read a Jane Austen book or if you've never read an Alucard or Montgomery novel, here's some advice, here's some of the main tropes, etc. Which I think is exciting because, some people would only have seen like the films of like Little Women or the TV shows and of Anne and Gables. Like obviously Bridgerton, big thing now, so people coming back into that Regency fascination. So it makes sense that period drama has always been incredibly popular, but I think people haven't, reading is ebbs and flows a little bit here. So yeah, no, it's exciting. Little Women is fucking class. Right, ideally you should read this book in its entirety before you play. However, if you are in a game facilitated by someone, you can simply read this chapter and reference the rest of the book as questions arise. You can also watch video tutorials on the Storybrewers website. So yeah, they actually go, and the game designers themselves, Hayley and V, actually run through the actual game themselves, and it's usually just the 2 of them. Maybe have one other person just to help with have an extra player there, but it's usually the 2 of them, and I think that's quite sweet. I'm always a big fan of game designers being able to present their games and go through the game itself. I say that as someone who obviously runs a lot of other games on behalf of game designers, but it's always fascinating. And we had this reminds me of it's not called Rogue One, Going Rogue, is that what it was called? Can't remember. We had Jess, who came on and they did basically a it wasn't Mandalorian. Oh gosh, I can't remember any Star Wars reference now, but it was a game that was inspired by lots of the Star Wars TV series, and the love they had for everything Star Wars. And we had some other guests on who was so into Star Wars, and I was like, I don't know anything about Star Wars. it was so lovely because they really went into the little details and stuff, but I never felt left out because then I could make up stuff and they would yes and it to extent. It's exactly what I said the other day. It's like if you don't know a genre particularly well, obviously read up on it if you can. If you can't in a moment, just make up something and stick to it that you feel is grounded. Like, you know, if this is true, what else is true? That's big advice for sci-fi. With something like this, all I ever think of is like I know Regency quite well, but I don't say know Anne of Green Gables that well or Little Women that well. But I have a sense of what it could be from other things, so I could just build on it from there. QR code TBC. That's a shame that's not there in the preview chapter, but hey, it'll be nice in the final book, won't it, to have that. So, A Game of Becoming. Alcott and Montgomery's novels are set at the time in which North America was undergoing massive change in industry, class structure, and social ideals. Trains and steamers allowed for faster travel. The workforce was going from mostly being self-employed to being someone else's employee. The middle class was solidifying with its own unique values. The population of cities and towns was rapidly growing, and the people were organising for the causes they believed in, from women's rights to unionisation. No single game of Castles in the Air could ever hope to cover everything that was happening at the time, but each individual game allows for the exploration of aspects of this quickly shifting world through the ordinary lives of people who grew up in it. But Castles in the Air is not just about society. It's also about individuals and their individual dreams and cares and struggles. It's about a group of children who grow up together and remain connected even as they head their separate ways. It's about personal growth and the journey to overcome the hang-ups that seem to dog our every step. It's about learning to know yourself and discovering what you want out of life, whether or not that means going into the direction you've always expected, and about the places we come from and where we want to go. Games of Castles in the Air can span many years, but they all start in the 1870s. In the United States, this period was known as the Gilded Age. Oh, okay. That's why it's called that. Silly person. Due to the numerous social problems of the day masked in the thin golden gilding of the economic growth. In Canada, this period was known as the Post-Confederation era, in reference to the very recent formation of Canada as a self-governing nation. The different concerns of the two nations during the same period will be covered in more detail later in this book. Nice, that's always good to know. Again, that comes into the essay part, I'm guessing. However, historical details are only as important as your group decides. Yes, they'll come up in the collaboration setup stage. You will determine during setup how important historical accuracy is to your game. All games of Castles in the Air share a time period, but it will be up to your group, to decide on where your game takes place. You'll be provided with two different settings inspired by Louisa May Alcott's and L.M. Montgomery's novels to get you started. New England and small-town maritime Canada. Small town. Then you will work together to define the town your game takes place in by giving it a name and populating it with interesting places, customs, and characters. So yeah, we do have a town creation thing. Oh, that's quite fun. This town will be the place where your characters will get to know each other as children, and whilst there's a good chance you will leave it as you grow up, perhaps following your dreams on the stage in New York, or receiving a college education in Halifax, joining the Second National Acadian Convention in Miscouche, starting a multicultural fashion house out west, or visiting Paris as part of your grand tour. It'll be the place all your characters come back to in adulthood. This location will help you highlight the way time changes both people and places. Oh, how fun! Both Alcott and Montgomery tell idealized stories of childhood filled with hope, wonder, friendship, and supportive parental figures. But these stories also touch on the harsher realities such as food insecurity and child labour. More information on these types of characters you are likely to find in Alcott and Montgomery novels. You see chapters 9 and 10. Touchstones and resources. Oh, great. I love this. So Alcott and Montgomery were both prolific There we go. Writers who wrote many novels and short stories, but Little Women and Anne of Green Gables, respectively, are their most iconic. If you're new to these authors, these two works or their film or TV adaptations are a great place to start. If you're short on time, you can also find some recommendations of short stories each wrote in chapters 10, role-playing the world of Castles in the Air. And then we've got a list of sort of like the favourite adaptations, because there are a lot of adaptations. I didn't know there was this one though. Little Women's 2, Joe's Boys, which is a 90 episode Japanese anime, which is an adaptation of Little Women's sequel, Little Men. Cool. Oh, fantastic. So additionally, there are other books and media touchstones that could introduce you to the type of slice of life and coming of age stories you might expect to tell in this game. For, examples of books include Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm by Kate Douglas Wiggin, The Secret Garden, of course, by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and the American Girl series. Oh yes, American Girl. I only found about this recently, but this idea that there is a doll, which is the American Girl, but it's not a Barbie-esque, but like they'll make a doll and have a whole story created for her, which is fascinating. I actually knew an improviser who worked at American Girl, and she would like obviously she worked in the store, I think at the Mall of America, but she was saying like how it was fascinating that they would come up with so much stories and it was like integral to this doll, because they wanted to make sure that every person they sort of put out there had a story and it represented something, to make, and just anyone could be the American Girl, if you see what I mean, which I thought was really interesting. If you like anime movies, so Studio Ghibli's Only Yesterday, well, that is a cracking film. I'd forgotten about that. And Whisper of the Heart, oh, I'm so sad, are good choices, as is Makoto's Shinkai's 5 centimeters per second. Oh, I don't know that one. Whilst none of these books and movies are set during the time period of Castles in the Air, their tone and tropes can still provide great inspiration. If you're looking to understand more about the time period, neither Alcott or Montgomery are perfect references. The Anne series in particular features multiple anachronisms that have people trying to figure out when exactly the books are set, scratching their heads for decades. A good reference for the time period, we recommend non-fiction, such as the Great Courses series on America in the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era. So it's nice that they're encouraging that sort of like, hey, do some research. Here's some examples of it. Because I always think that's important to, just to get, like I said before, like sometimes we get, I don't know. So for example, I don't know anything about action films at all. But I've watched like Mission Impossible, I've like a lot of their movies now. And do I like them? No. But I know there's like, there's always gadgets. There's always like a cool car chase of some sort. There's always a fight in some precarious place, those sort of tropes. So I do try, if I'm going to run a game of something, I try and not only read the rules, but immerse myself to learn about what I can, what would make the story like feel like this genre. So I do appreciate you going, hey, some of these references, these adaptations, they're not perfect, but how about you try some non-fiction instead? So I appreciate it. And the only thing I'd say, Great Courses series, I assume that's a TV show of some sort, but if it is like a course, it would be nice to have a link to it. Anyway, in addition, Alcott and Montgomery wrote from their own perspectives as white, English-speaking Protestants, which leaves out the experience of many other cultures that were prominent in North America at the time. For a broader perspective, the Journal of Charlotte L. Fortin gives the teenage and young adult accounts of an upper-middle-class free black woman in New England from the mid-1850s to the late 1860s. Black Gotham, a family history of African Americans in the 19th century New York City by Carla L. Peterson, discusses the black elite in the Gilded Age. And Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker, is an Alias bundles, provides a biography of one of the original self-made women, the black entrepreneur Madam C.J. Walker. Amazing. Ooh, that's awesome. There are also Alcott and Montgomery's later books set in the 1870s and beyond. For Montgomery, Emily of the New Moon and its sequels are a good place to start. If you'd rather read some a la carte, we would suggest The Old-Fashioned Girl, Eight Cousins, and Rose in Bloom, or Little Men. But please be aware that whilst these books are for the most part partly enjoyable, they do feature elements that have aged poorly. Emily of the New Moon and Little Bird both feature ableism. Oh no. And An Old-Fashioned Girl gets very preachy at times, and Eight Cousins and Rose in Bloom have first cousin romance. And a racist depiction of a Chinese character. Oh wow. Oh dear, oh dear. But hey, I like the fact that we've got a heads up about it. That's more than most people do. As you read through this book, you'll find lots of examples that look like this, that help you understand how to play the game. All of our examples centre on one single game group, so we thought we'd share a little bit about our players and the characters you meet. So as an example, we've got Curtis, they, them, Sophie, she, her, Lauren, he, him, and Jess, she, they. That's awesome, and I've said this before, I like it when we have examples of play. I never read them out because I don't think that, I don't need them, but also I'm not going to read like out a script like that on stream, but I like how they're highlighted. I love the little gold thing around it as well. Art TBD, that's all fine. Again, it's a preview chapter, right? Creating a story together, so like all tabletop games, Castles in the Air is about getting together in a group and telling a story. In Castles in the Air, this story is intended to mirror the experiences of journeying through an a la carte or Montgomery novel or series in both its substance and the manner of its telling. Castles in the Air is a highly collaborative game in which all the players work together to create the drama and determine what happens. Every character, every scandal, every plot twist and every dream realised or deferred is orchestrated by your group cooperatively. Here are some ways you will work to create the story. So create and play major characters from childhood into adulthood, as well as the most important people who surround them, so that's that connections thing that comes into play here. Pursue the characters' desires and objectives and use them to complicate the other characters' lives. Decide together on each event and visitation we see during the story and take turns out playing scenes that happen within them. Create rumours and scandals and harness them to add drama to the story, and create unexpected changes to the overall narrative and put pressure on the other player characters. To play So I can hear someone's lawnmower going off, so hopefully you can't hear that too badly. Nope, I can hear that quite hard. Why are they doing it now? Oh well. Anyway, to play Castles in the Air, you'll need 2 to 5 people. In most games, one of the people will be the facilitator, who is in addition to playing one of the major characters. We'll step the players through each stage of the game and help create a shared story. Once you've become familiar with the game, you may choose to play without a facilitator, and you shall find the rules on page we don't know because it will be written soon. Oh dear. Okay. I'm just gonna. Hang on. Let me change this property down a little bit because I can see it's peaking ever so slightly. We'll go down to 4. How's that? There we go. That should be a little bit better. Right. Next page then. So collaborative storytelling. Castles in the Air is a game built to foster collaborative storytelling. But what does in-game collaboration actually look like? Here's what it means to us. So, collaborative storytelling is free and open discussions between players, even if it would never occur between the characters. Making an overall story together rather than focusing solely on your own major characters. Putting the story and fun above your own character's interest, even as you pursue those interests in character. Making sure everyone's voice is heard in shaping the novel you are creating. And finally, respecting consent between players, even when your characters clash. Castles in the Air provides plenty of tools to help players work together, but bring a collaborative attitude to your game is the best way to make it enjoyable. Nice. Man, this art TBD. Oh, I'd love to go to that exhibition. So, each player will take on the role of a major character, so a young person growing up in 1870s North America, and a central character in your story. They will also wield broad narrative power and will have more fun as they use it. As a player, your role is to actively contribute to the story by playing the characters you control, offering ideas and creating dramas for others. You're not just a character, but an author working with your group to create your very own stories of becoming. What a great little quote. I love that. So let's see what we've got these 4 principles. So as a player, you will respect the decisions made in the collaboration, so that bit at the beginning, that sort of lines and veils, setting expectations. Take action to pursue your character's desires and objectives. Be willing to accept or even orchestrate your character's own misfortunes and create a more interesting story. Contribute to the story and support other players even when your own character is not involved. So why must I suffer? Why? In Alcott and Montgomery's novels, characters suffer setbacks, misfortunes, and uncertainty before they can achieve their objectives. These setbacks are often what makes the story interesting. The same principle applies to the story you are creating in Castles in the Air. Let bad things happen to your characters. You can reverse their fortunes later and it will make successes even sweeter. Oh, hello, Hogan. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing? Happy Friday. How's your day been so far? We're just looking at Castles in the Air, which is the latest, upcoming RPG that's coming from the people behind the Good Society stuff. Hope you're doing well. The facilitator. In most games, Castle in the Air, one person will take on the role of both a major character and the facilitator. You'll do both. Okay, that's interesting. That's different to Good Society, where the facilitator doesn't take on a major role character. So that's interesting. I'm having a good Friday so far. Oh, excellent. I'm glad to hear. Unlike many traditional role-playing games, the facilitator in Castle in the Air does not have unlimited narrative control. They do not plan how the story will go or determine the actions of all the supporting characters. Instead, the facilitator shares creative power equally with the players. They play a vital role in bringing the best out of players and making the game feel like a classic coming-of-age story. If possible, the role of the facilitator is best taken by someone with a bit of role-playing experience. If you haven't role-played before but would like to facilitate a game, you can still do so. Watch the play example on our website, first to get an understanding of what playing the game might be. That's always a good shout. If the facilitator is not already familiar with Alcott or Montgomery, we recommend reading either Little Women or Anna Green Gables, or watching an adaptation before you play. Whoop. As a facilitator, your primary task is to help everyone collaborate and build a shared story. Here are your principles. We've got, as a facilitator, you will respect the decisions made in collaboration and foster a collaborative environment. Ask questions and build on answers. Be responsible for structure and pacing. Play a major character and some of the supporting characters. That's interesting. Again, we don't have that in Good Society. Bring home the consequences of character actions and bring home the consequences of the setting and add drama and complication, but only if needed. If you're playing a game without a facilitator, then the responsibility for these tasks is shared amongst the players. In most cases, the facilitator will be playing a major character in addition to facilitating, but you'll still need to perform the tasks as listed above. Their role as facilitator takes priority. Yes. Okay, the flow of play. Castles in the Air has a structured flow of play that makes the game feel more like an Alcott or Montgomery novel. Every time you start a new game of Castles in the Air, you'll begin by completing the collaboration and backstory. During these steps, you will decide what kind of story you'd wish to tell and create the characters that will feature within it. After that, your game will take place in a series of phases. These phases are separated into childhood and adulthood. Childhood only comes once per game, only comes once a game. But once you reach adulthood, the phases will be organised into a cycle of play that repeats until the game is finished. Right, okay. You can write your collaboration choices on your group's town sheet. You can also mark progress through the phases of the cycle found in the facilitators section of the sheet. Nice, okay, so that's good to know that, yeah, you're not going backwards, you just play the childhood section, like presumably first, and then you go into the adulthood stuff. Interesting. I'll move out a little bit so we can see that in its full. So, collaboration. Decide what kind of story you'd like to tell. Make decisions about the tone of content so everyone's on the same page. Backstory bit, which was not in this particular preview, but create a town, major characters and their connections. Explore the castles, relationships, family backgrounds and bosom enemies. Then play through the following phases for the childhood. So we've got a novel chapter, which is like the introduction. Bosom enemy. Oh, that's a step. Okay. The word I can never say, epistolary? The letter writing phase. Oh, the Mulmo is back as well, great. And then novel chapter is guidance. Then bosom enemy, another letter writing phase, a chapter, bosom enemy, passive time, transition to adulthood, and then upkeep. So we have three like bits in childhood then. I see. And then we've got adulthood, which is novel chapter, bosom enemy, rumor and scandal, letter writing, novel chapter, bosom enemy. Passage of time is optional. Oh, I see. Yeah, because you want to be, maybe you want to go further and further in that sort of generation thing as well. Letter writing and upkeep. Right. Repeat these phases until you're ready to start and ready to end your game. Interesting. Okay. I'll be interested to know what the difference is, what guidance is for this novel chapter here. Bosom enemy, I appreciate that is like, isn't like an actual person. It's something like, you know, anxiety or what was it? Anxiety is the one that comes in my head because that's the one probably I'd have to deal with. So I guess that's their version of. They've got rumor and scandal here at least as a phase, as a step. So I wonder what bosom enemy is and what you do for that. And the passage of chimes kind of makes sense. And transition to adulthood. That'll be interesting. All right. Oh, well, we're going to go into detail right now. Excellent. So we have, is that? Yeah, we can read all that. So we have them in detail here. So yeah, we've got 11 steps for the childhood phase. But we have 6 different types, some of which occur multiple times to make it up to 11 phases. Typically, collaboration, backstory, and childhood, including the transition to childhood, will take 3 to 4 sessions depending on your group's speed and session length. Don't be afraid to take your time with childhood. The seeds you sow as children will make for a richer narrative once you're adults. So that's interesting. This whole section will take 3 to 4 sessions. So even then, you're not going to get the full experience of the game after 4 sessions, possibly. Which again, no problem for me. That sounds great. But people want to be like, I want to have a one shot of this. Right, we'll do 1 child session and then we're going to adulthood. No, I don't think so. So the novel chapter. This is in character play, so have childish adventures, make friends, learn lessons, and get into mischief. This phase will make up the bulk of play. During childhood, some of the novel chapters are given themes in order to create extra structure. Ooh, okay, so we've got introduction and guidance there. Okay. Bosom enemy. Assess the events that since the Assess the events since the last bosom enemy phase, or create a short scene or I always say vinaigrette. Vignette about your character's bosom enemy. Decide if they took control of their bosom enemy, or by subduing it or directing it towards a productive outlet, or if their bosom enemy took control of them. The epistolary phase, a phase for writing letters or other childish creations. Oh, that's exciting. Issue invitations, apologise to a neighbour whose flowers you trample running through her yard, or write a school report on why you think maggots are better than cats. Okay, that's opened up so much. I like the idea that, yeah, because what I do when I've the 2 times I've run Good Society, when it comes to this phase, I go, okay, I'm going to have a break now of 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes to write a letter to each other. And to see role players get excited to sit in silence and write letters is incredible. And now we've opened it up to like them drawings or making invites or something like this. I love this. Write a school report on why you think maggots are better than cats. I love that. Because it's something that, again, you could always bring back up and see like, God, I don't know what I was thinking as a kid. Passage of time. Players explore the events that unfold in their major characters' lives as they grow from children to adults. How will time change the characters and their relationships with each other? At the end of this passage of time, all the major characters should be at least 18 years old. And then the transition into adulthood, step away from in-character play to define who these major characters have become as adults. Assign adult roles and desires. Update relationships with other major characters. Assess how you handle your bosom enemy as a child, and create new connections. And consider castles in the sky. Oh, and consider castles in the air. And complete town creation. Okay, so you don't complete town creation. I see, because I guess at passage of time things could happen. Very cool, very interesting. And then upkeep is that we refresh monologue and resolve tokens and review the collaboration together. So yes, so this is the main sort of mechanic here, is that you have tokens to do things and change the narrative. Those resolve tokens, everyone has some, like a little pool of them, and so does the facilitator, which will be interesting though, because you've got a major character, and then usually these resolve tokens are connected to your characters. You've got your major character and you've got your connection as well. They'll have their own separate pools, but you only have monologue tokens for the major characters, and you only have one of them presumably per until the next upkeep, right? So we only upkeep one, so you don't have one for this whole session, I think, which will be really interesting. And I love monologue tokens because it's not, you can spend it on yourself, but you can spend it on someone else going, what is Charlotte thinking in this moment? And they can answer in character, or they can answer like as a letter writing thing. I love it. I love being like, what are they thinking right now? It's great. And then we've got the adult phases in detail. So many of the phases in the cycle remain the same as in the childhood, but only with minor changes, with one new phase added, which is rumour and scandal. Oh my god. Who knows what this lawnmower person is doing? Oh dear. Novel chapters have no longer assigned topics and will naturally become deeper and more nuanced now that they are dealing with concerns and relationships of adults. See, I kind of like this idea of having themes now, and maybe one thing I would suggest to my players is like, why don't we pick a word or a prompt to at least start the chapter with, and it's sort of, you know, like a, because often with these chapters you start off at an event together. That's what you did in Good Society. So I like the idea of having some sort of like spring, autumn, I don't know, sea or something like that. Just having a theme like that would be quite fun. Bosom enemy. Your actions now have the possibility of 2 consequences and rewards, as you are no longer children who aren't held fully responsible for their behaviour. Rumour and scandal. We've seen this before with Good Society. Players collaboratively determine what rumours and scandals are travelling in their circles, which are merely whispers and which are considered truth. The letter writing phase. The child-specific letter writing options are dropped, but brand new options are introduced, such as whether interludes allow for the exploration of a major character's inner turmoil. I love that. The final epistolary of the game is also the epilogue. Passage of time. So this phase becomes optional, giving the players a choice to continue exploring their major characters in the present or move time forward. I like that. And an upkeep. New options arise and let you continue to mould your characters as an adult. You can use the daily reference to help you remember the details of each phase. Look at this. She says, I love this reference. Oh, she says, can't even see it. I mean, it's a bit pixelated, to be fair, which is a shame. I'm only, how deep am I in? I'm like, okay, I'm about 300% in. It'd be nice to have it a bit clearer, because we've had some images before which have been very clear. But what a great reference sheet. I love this layout. Because often we have usually it's very clear layout for, for ease of reach and stuff like that. But I really love they're getting the vibe of this. And especially with a system like this, you just need like a very short summary for stuff. So I love this. And weather interludes here. So you've got dawn, a monologue about new hope, dusk, a monologue about things that will never be, day, a vignette about simple joys or the busyness of life, overcast, a broody, reflective vignette or monologue about a difficult question, storm, a scene showing passion or outrage through a rash action that breaks from previous behaviour. Very good. And then some stuff there. Oh, I love this. Oh yeah, absolute loads of yes, tick 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 for like vibes here. Very much like that. Major characters. So we'll go back a little bit. In Castles in the Air, each player takes on the role of a major character. Major characters, along with their dreams, flaws, and relationships, are the central force of gameplay. We follow these characters on their journey from childhood to adulthood and beyond. So, we start as children aged between 11 and 16. And we're created from 5 components. So we have their childhood role, such as the scamp or the dreamer, defines who they are in their own eyes and in the eyes of those around them. Oh, I like that, yeah. Yes, because you have that sort of role, like almost like playbook sort of thing you have with the Good Society characters, so this is quite cool. Their castle in the air is a faraway dream they have for their future, like being the most fashionable tailor in all of New England. Their bosom enemy is part of their inner nature that they struggle with throughout their lifetime, such as their anger or discontentness. Their childhood relationship with a bond with another major character that helps knit their childhood friendship group together. And their family background defines where they come from and the strata of society they belong to, right from rising new money to a poor family from humble origins. Once they reach... Whoa! Oh, that was a sneak preview. There's some good art. Oh, I can't wait for that. Once they reach adulthood, they will reflect their new place in society and personal goals as adults. So their character role is swapped from their childhood character role is swapped from an adulthood character role that reflects the new way the world sees them and the potential consequences that their actions now hold. They gain a desire, again, same as good society, a goal for their lives held close to their heart. Their relationships change to reflect the way their bonds with their childhood group has changed for better or for worse. This might involve adding a second card or replacing your existing card. And then, oh my god, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see the artwork. Oh my goodness, the art is so beautiful. Ooh, all right, we'll zoom in a little bit. It's probably going to be very pixelated, judging from it before. Look at the colours. All right, so this is childhood setup. So this is the top one up here. It's a small one. It's probably not going to take up too much. So again, if you're printing them out, you can probably cut them in two. And then we've got the childhood relationship here, the family background, and the bosom enemy. How good! They're so... Oh, it's so nice. I love that. And here, so you can see here where you'd write all the stuff down and the way you track your bosom enemy stuff. And then you've got these little bits here. That's the monologue tokens, and that's the resolve tokens. That's where you'd keep an eye on them, essentially. Oh, that's so beautiful. And oh, no, that's not what I wanted. I want to see the adulthood one. So the adulthood one then goes into the full format one. You replace your character card and add additional cards. This is where you add your desire. Oh my god, the pink on that is gorgeous. And then the adulthood. So this is where I'm now like, I definitely want to have a physical copy because I want to see these cards. Ah. And I will say, again, I wonder if we're going to get black and white or grayscale versions of this. Presumably we'll get form fillable ones as well. Like, they're so beautifully detailed, but I can imagine people not printing them out because of the ink stuff on it. That's the only thing. Oh, gorgeous. Love it. All right. So we have 6 roles for childhood. We've got the bookworm, the dreamer, the innocent, the scamp, the prince or princess, and the ringleader. So no matter how many characteristics someone might have, in the eyes of others, they are frequently reduced to one. A character's role defines who they are in the eyes of society, which connections they have to call on, and what consequences their actions will have on circumstance. Castles in the Air has both childhood roles and adult roles. Childhood roles give inspiration to the players by assigning them their major characters with one of the typical childhood archetypes found in Alcott's or Montgomery's novels. Children don't have consequences for their behaviour on their character role sheet yet. Those will appear in their adulthood character role when society begins to hold them fully accountable for their actions. On your character role sheet, you'll find a list of attributes that can give you more of a sense of what your archetype is like. For example, the dreamer is blessed with a vivid imagination, a lover of nature and beauty, sensitive and quick to feel a slight, and possessed of a rich inner world. These are just suggestions to inspire your character, and it is up to you whether you choose to incorporate them. Since the childhood roles exist to flavour your character's personalities, and your world can often see children in the same way, it doesn't matter if your players decide to double up. After all, if Little Women was a game of Castles in the Air, both Joe and Laurie would be scamps. So that's good, because I was going to say, in Good Society, you're only allowed to have one of the character roles. You can't double up on them. So this totally makes sense. And I like that, because, it's to give you some flavour. That's quite good to know. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. Oh, I see, and that's where you'd put them. Interesting. Castles in the air, or just a castle, is a child's dream for the future. In common speech, a castle in the air can sometimes refer to an impossible dream or a desire that is unlikely to ever be realised, but children's dreams are rarely fettered by what's possible. This dream can be as simple or as lavish as you like. You might dream impossible dreams of being a hero who fights bad guys just like in your favourite dime novels. Or perhaps your aspiration is more grounded, like escaping from your family's expectation that you will become a minister. The important thing is that castles in the air are representations of an unfulfilled future, rather than goals that can be achieved actively by working towards them during childhood. Your major character's castle in the air determines what is the most important to them as the game begins. This will play a significant role in shaping who they might be. As time passes, a major character's castle in the air will function as a signpost that points to who they were as you explore the person that they will eventually become. Not everyone ends up realising their childhood dreams. Moreover, not all of us would want to. While some people maintain the same dream throughout their life, others may find their dreams changing as they grow up and discover something new and unexpected that brings them unimagined joys. This is why players will be asked to reflect on their castles during important points during the game. First during the transition from adulthood to adulthood, and once again at the very end of the game. Because there are so many unique possibilities for childhood dreams, we didn't wish to limit the players by making them choose between pre-written castles in the air. However, if you're feeling a little stuck with coming up with a castle in the air of your own, you can find some examples in the back section, in the backstory chapter. Nice. I was going to say I do quite like suggestions or prompt tables for this sort of stuff, just because I find that easier. I rarely, and I don't know about anyone else, when I come into a game, I'm actually really bad. I always like to go last when I'm making characters, because then I see where I fit in with everyone else who has stronger feelings about who they want to play. So that means often I play sometimes support characters, sometimes comedic character, like the Jack Sparrow to Will Turner in Pirates of the Caribbean, perhaps. But at the same time, recently I've been thinking of characters like if I was ever going to play D&D again. I had a thought about the kinds of characters I would like to play, but but the problem is I don't want to have too strong of this is what their story is, because I realise now that when we create characters, I much prefer creating characters with a group of people, and that for them to impact on my ideas of the story, and for the whoever is running the game to give me a story hook that they think could work. So they can see so much more than I can see. Because I can only see I can see the wood. I can't see the wood for the trees. That's what I'm thinking of, right? And it makes it so much better than just holding on to something that I definitely think this is what my character would do. And it happens in role-playing games as well. Not role-playing games, video games as well. I really should look at that's the thing. Maybe I should do some more streams about character creation stuff, because there's some it's always interesting to come up with how do we create characters and go through character creation, but then looking at how do we make a completely random character, and can we work with it? Is this something that I would enjoy? So maybe I'll have to think about that. I had thought, and this was ages ago, that at some point when I get back into teaching improv online, I was going to set up doing monthly drop-ins and have a class that was based. Each workshop would be based on maybe something that we learned from one of the classes from D&D or Pathfinder. It's Barbarian would be how do we use rage and anger in our improv scenes. Bard obviously would be improvised musicals. How do we sing? I wouldn't teach that because I would be terrible at that. That's the one thing that really pulls me out of my comfort zone, is singing and doing cause I think it's one of the most coolest things in the world is to see an improvised musical. I know there are ways that they do it and stuff like that, and I think it's really cool. My issue, and it's definitely a more thing than me, is that I can't sing at all, and that's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. But when I go to classes and other people are yeah, and then they sing, and I feel cringe. I absolutely feel cringe, and I don't know what to do about it, because I try so hard not to judge people's abilities and stuff like that, but then I'm people are too keen for it, and I don't like it at all. It's nope, I can't do that. But that's what I'd think for if I was doing Bard. Artificer was going to be object work, and how do we make objects look real. And that's as far as I got, because a lot of them are magic But I was having a think about that. That's sort of my plan is to be like, let's do a sketch of like 13 classes I could do over the year. I don't know if that's of any interest. But the tabletop RPG workshops went down well, so who knows? Maybe I'll bring those back as well. Bosom enemies. People are made not just of dreams, but also of faults. A bosom enemy is a character's greatest fault that will plague them throughout their life. The worst part of their nature will crop up whenever they are tired or out of sorts, or simply not guarding against it. Examples of this include Meg's perfectionism, Joe's temper, F's timidness. Ooh, I think it's timidness, right? I just get embarrassed in situations like that anyway. Very much. I don't know. It's like I think you and I are on the same boat where we just all go, no. I remember. I'll get back to this in a second. I remember I went to like an improv retreat, like an intensive, and we could sign up at the end to showcase what we'd done. And I signed up with somebody else, and we did an example of our news format, where we would create live like headline breaking news and stuff like that. And it's fine. It's not great, but it was a way to. What I wanted to do was to show people that you can make a story out of anything and get people up, and it's like engaging the audience and stuff. But the problem was, we had to have a split in the list, a split of people who were non-musical improv, and then people who were really musical improv. And there were so many people who signed up to do songs. I just remember, two ladies got up to do like a duo song together, and the whole point is that you get up, you start a scene, and at some point it's like Oscar-winning moment, and you start to sing because it's it's expression, etc. And these two ladies, I don't know if they were just maybe just being incredibly British about it. I don't know. But neither of them wanted to be the person to start the song. And so the music was starting when clearly the musician, the pianist had heard something. He was like, oh, time to start playing. And we waited for like 2 minutes as they were like back and forth, like, no you. And honestly, I was just there going, somebody start, please. But again, I can't do it. I find it amazing when I see it done like live and like showstoppers in the UK, and there's loads of other musical improv groups, and they are absolutely cracking. But I definitely would recommend checking out showstoppers if you've never seen them. You know what? Another good one for this, which I'm sure I mentioned when we did Good Society, just going back to the RPG, is I've completely forgot it. The improvised Jane Austen stuff. Not Lost in Austen. What's it called? Damn. I completely forgot. Ostentatious. Whoa, sorry, my brain ticked over there a little bit. Yes, Ostentatious in the West End. Some of the best improvisers who started that show because they all were at the same university together, and they all got a bit tired of they all got I've already gone red and I wasn't there. No, it was palpable, right? You felt it from across the stream. But yeah, Ostentatious. They all went to the same university, and they all got fed up of improv being done by male presenting folks, and it was always the same short form stuff, and they wanted to do long form. And two of them were big fans of Jane Austen, so all of them sat down and read like a whole bunch of period drama novels and stuff. And now they go and perform it, and they'll get like all sorts. But now again, because people getting into TikToks and stuff, they've got so many cracking clips of them putting like media cultural references into like period drama, and it's one of the best things. And I'm very lucky to know one or two of them just through passing and taking a couple of classes and stuff like that. But they're so fun, and it's just they dress up well, and it's also majoritively female people, and they get guests as well, so it's great. That actually sounds incredible. I love Good Society too. Yeah, no, I would try. I appreciate Sakai. It's in London, but sometimes they do tours as well. It's like I said, Ostentatious, and it's and when someone really actually that's the point. I think with all role playing games, I think this is an obvious point to make. It doesn't matter, if you love the genre and you love playing with people at the table, that's what makes it count. And with that show, you can tell they really love playing with each other as improvisers, but they also really love Jane Austen and they love the genre. So I always recommend checking them out. The other one, I am going to get back to this. The other one, which is there's another show which I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but they've got an Instagram now which I've been seeing. It's called The Importance of Being Earnest, like improvised play. So they play through the importance of being earnest, but every so often they lose a cast member for whatever reason, so they have to pull up people from the audience to play Ernest or to play the a handbag, that sort of person as well. And it's great. It's really fun to see all these clips of people who are just general people. And yeah, I'll see if I can find the link afterwards and I'll send it to you, because I'll put it in Discord or whatever. But it is one of the best things I've seen in a while. And I really want to see it live. It was great. I just love the idea of because the actors know the script, and then you put a non-actor in it, and they're like, "So Ernest, would you say you prefer the town or the country?" And they're like, "The country," and they go, "No, the town," all that sort of thing. And it's obviously very, very orchestrated and stuff like that. But it if anything, it elevates the non-actors who are just there to have a good time. It's great. Thank you. I'll make sure to put a link to it, because I know they're doing tours as well recently, so it is worth a look. I guess all these sort of genres we can put into other things, and it's fast. That's it. It's a fast, right? And I'm sure you could do fasts genres here as well. Where was it? Beth's timidness, Amy's pretentiousness in Little Women, and Anne's stubbornness in Anne of Green Gables. Working to overcome your flaws and the consequences of not doing so is a major theme both in Castles in the Air and the source material it derives from. So during childhood, bosom enemies is one of your main drives of play. Your character struggles with their individual bosom enemy will come up multiple times during childhood and will influence how they interact with the world and each other. For more information about what bosom enemies look like during childhood, see the discussion of it at a later phase. We've not got it yet. Bosom enemies don't disappear into adulthood. The way a player reacts to their bosom enemy during childhood has a direct impact on who their major character grows up to be. Players will also continue to track their responses to their bosom enemy during adulthood and can trigger positive or negative conditions, as a result of their actions. The conditions are unique to each character role and will create narrative changes within the story. Because bosom enemies are such an important part of play, they should also be a good fit for a major character and something that your major character's player is interested in exploring. A player may discover during play that the bosom enemy they picked as part of the backstory is not a good fit, and if that happens, they can change the bosom enemy at any time without having to wait for upkeep. So what we've got here, we've got an example on the left. It says, oh god, what beautiful artwork. So bosom enemy here is impulsiveness. You might be impulsive if you accept dares or give in to other forms of peer pressure, act without taking time to consider the consequences of doing so, and speak heedlessly or are unintentionally cruel due to lack of forethought. What? Lack of forethought. Okay, brain. But I love the design of these cards. They're almost like tarot cards in a way, like the beautiful borders there. But this is interesting. I like how, yes, always, if something doesn't work for your character, we can switch it out and you don't have to wait for something or hit a condition, etc. But these positive and negative conditions, they really, again, it'd be nice if we had an example of a character sheet, both as a child and an adult, that isn't, if I go back on page 24, that isn't too teeny tiny, that's the only thing, is can't necessarily read that if I zoom in too much. It's nice to just see one of them. Like this one is the teacher, and we've got, is it the bookworm and the teacher? Yeah, it's the only thing I'd say. It'd be nice to see that as an example. Okay, childhood. I did all that, didn't I? Yes, I did. Just making sure. Okay, childhood relationships. So relationships are bonds between the major characters that knit your tight group of childhood friends together. Players will give and take relationship cards from each other, establishing unique bonds between characters going into play. In childhood, as the game begins, relationships tend to be fairly simple as a reflection of the smallness of a child's world. Examples include siblings, cousins, neighbours, childhood sweethearts, and friends. During backstory, each player will pick a relationship card for their character that they will give away to form a connection with another major character. And once everyone has a card to give, the players will decide together who receives each relationship. For the purpose of the descriptive text on the card, the person who has originally picked the card is the giver, whilst the person who receives the card, the relationship, is the taker. Yeah, it's yeah, example. So yeah, I think we should look at the example here. It's kind of important. But let's have a look at this one. So the childhood relationship here is idolize. Oh, let me move it over so you guys can see it. Idolize. The giver of this card, so the person giving it away, idolize the taker of this card. Consider together, why does the giver idolize the taker? Does the taker like being idolized? Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. So we've got an example here as well. Okay, family background. So every major character will have a family background that says where they come from and how their family fits into society. Family backgrounds in Castles in the Air can change throughout the game as a major character's circumstances do. Perhaps a major character with the ill-reputed background will find their position change when they married into an old elite family, or a merchant family will work their way up to new money, whilst a new money family finds their fortunes lost and their means reduced to that of humble origins. Fortunes and circumstances change, and this can be reflected with a change in family backgrounds during upkeep. Multiple characters can have the same family background. That's good to know. And this can even lend itself to an interesting storyline. When two characters are a part of the same immediate family, they will usually share the same background. However, this need not be so. When characters are related, their players should discuss whether they would like to share a background or create a narrative reason why they should be different. Unlike other cards, which are unique, multiple characters may share a single family background. Ooh, I wanted to have a quick look over here. So what have we got? Can't read all of it, unfortunately. I will say I like the font here. It is still readable compared to what we looked yesterday of the Babes in the Wood. There was that sort of font we had with this certain cool, like, other places you will go kind of like monologues, and you're like, I can't read any of this without alt text. So here we've got humble origins. So the need to stay at home and skimp and save has denied you pleasures of both great and small and subjected you to many pitying stares from those who see themselves as your betters. No matter, you can hold your head high with the knowledge that there is no shame in being poor. Though the fashion of society fails to realise that your family's wealth is found not in material, we'll never know. And then the merchant one here, a little bit of this. We've got standing somewhere between the farmer's harvest and the factory owner's processing is the middleman. Your family is not in the business of production itself, but it interacts with both sides in such a way that neither can truly exist without the other. In the smallest of towns, your family store may even act as the post office that connects the outside world to the bank. We'll never know. Okay, and then here are the adult roles we have here as well. So we've got the beneficiary, the cosmopolitan, the dandy, the heir, the meddler, the nurturer, the pragmatist, the seeker, the striver, the teacher. Sorry, I'm completely 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we've got 10 character roles. That's more than in the that's more than the core book. And some of them, I do think some of them are, you can find them in the Good Society, but obviously these character roles will be specific to Castles in the Air. So I think that you wouldn't be able to get a character from Good Society. You couldn't directly import them. You'd have to excuse me. You'd have to transcribe that character sheet into one of these character sheets, perhaps. Oh, excuse me. So as childhood passes and your characters grow up, you'll change in ways your character self could never have imagined. The first step in transitioning from a child to an adult is to choose an adulthood role. You choose your role based on your character's actions during childhood and the passage of time and the circumstances they find themselves in after. Like childhood roles, adult roles reflect the way society can see your character. However, unlike that oh dear. 1 second. I should really learn how to mute lens. What was I going to say? Like childhood roles, the adult roles reflect the way society sees your character. However, unlike their childhood counterparts, they also reflect the realities and expectations of your character's adult life. As an adult, the ways you interact with your bosom enemy has the potential to trigger conditions that have changed your fortunes and circumstances. We recommend each character holds a unique misspelling there of adulthood, wow, role to reflect their unique place in society and the way they are defined by their constant contrast. A wide variety of roles can also help to differentiate the character stories and add more interest to the game. However, if 2 players are set on the same adulthood roll, there's no rule up against doubling up. Right, that's good. That's good to know. And here's an example. I do like how, look, they've got this thing at the bottom here. Can you guys see it? Oh, maybe I'll zoom out a little bit so you guys can sort of see it. This is where you'd put the castle in the sky thing that you're looking forward to, right at the bottom here. Oh, you can't. It's weird. Oh, there you go. You can barely see it, but there, at the bottom there. And here are the conditions where the bosom enemy comes up. So if you fill out 3 negative conditions or 4, sorry, you get 3 negative or 3 positive, then you can take one of these conditions, which you then make into like a little seed of some sort, which is great. It says it here as well. Nice. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to go on to the connections in a second, but I wonder, it's nice to have this image as well. I wonder, and again, this maybe seems like a little nitpicky, but because I really love the art, I think the art is great. I wonder if we could have sheets which have alternate art that represents different genders or different sort of individuals that you could pick, for example. I know it's such a small thing, but like, because they did it with Worldwide Wrestling, where you'd have the same playbook, but you'd have 2 alternate arts of 2 very different individuals. And, it, you know, gender, yes, but also it just meant they look different. So you could be like, oh, actually, that reminds me of this. So that's great. Yeah, so that's the only thing I would think about. It would be nice to have like alternative arts, which they may do as well. But again, we don't have any of the character sheets to look at. I'm sure there'll be blank sheets as well, so you could put in your own image if you wish to draw it. Okay, I'm going to zoom back in a little bit. So desires. When a major character becomes an adult, they will have far more autonomy to work towards their goals. This is when they will gain a desire. At its simplest, a desire is a clear internal statement of what a major character wants in the short to medium term. Players should act on their character's desire, pursuing schemes and machinations and plans to make it come to pass. These actions will help move the story forward. Fiona, I'm going to write to you about Worldwide Wrestling. There are plans. Ooh, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to do some more Worldwide Wrestling. I think it's one of the coolest Powered by the Apocalypse books. And there's so much to it. We barely scratched the surface with that Science and Sorcery stream. Help me up. I'm all ears. Up to each player whether or not their desire will have anything to do with their castle in the air. Not all childhood dreams are made to wear. After all, interests change, and it's not uncommon for children to dream of things that are impossible for them to achieve, such as being a superhero or a fairy princess. You can always be a fairy princess, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. That said, a desire to accomplish your castle in the air is equally valid. Castles in the air are all about playing things by ear and discovering who your character is and what is important to them as part of play. While the initial desire that's assigned to a character will be essential in driving the drama, desires will also shift over time as characters change and develop. If a player decides their desire is accomplished, impossible to achieve, or no longer interesting to explore, they can create or select a new one during the upkeep phase. So your desire doesn't change, but your bosom doesn't. You can't change your desire at any point. It has to be in the upkeep phase, which is fair enough. Whereas your bosom enemy, you can change. I like that a lot. That makes sense in my books. When it comes to decide on your desire, you can either make your own or choose one from the desire cards that accompany the game. So this is what I'm going to ask. One thing I'm going to ask, because it doesn't look like. I'm just checking here. Sometimes the cards have numbers. So in Good Society, it has something called play sets. And that's all about the different themes of games you want to play. So if you wanted to play a game that's very, I don't know, like Bridgerton, where it's about people finding love and finding matches and all that sort of thing, there'll be a certain play set where, like, okay, here are the main sort of tropey character roles you can play. Here are the desires that are assigned to them, all that sort of thing. So it's a very, in terms of starting up, it's quick. I wonder if it's going to be the same thing, or it's more freeform. So like, it's very customizable. So you don't have play sets for Castles in the Air. That's interesting. Because I quite like the playset idea for the game for Good Society, because that was just a really quick way we can just set up and go for people who are like, oh, we want to explore, say, romance, but with older characters rather than younger characters, or something to do with money and wealth and that sort of thing. So, Yes, I like it. Anyway, look at this desire thing. It's just because I realised there's no numbers on it, and the way you make the playset is that it'll be like, desire number 7. I mean, actually, I'll just check. No, it's not that. Usually it will say like desire number 7 or something like that, or relationship number 52. So, desire. Make your childhood dream a reality. Some dreams come and go, but yours has remained constant. You still dream of opening the door to the castle in the air that you cherished as a child. You'll work as long and as hard as you have to. What are years of work and struggle when the end product is becoming the person you were always meant to be? Doing the work that was born in you. You know with certainty that one day you will find that key. You will fulfill that dream. Nice. I like that. When it comes to here, that's literally what I was about to say. When it comes to decide on a desire, you will either make your own desire or choose from the desire cards that accompany the game. Adult relationships. So as you change from children to adults, your relationships to your childhood friends change as well. During the transition to adulthood, each player will update a current relationship or add a new one to another major character to reflect the changes in the relationships. Many of these changes will come about organically during play. Best friends who have a parting of ways might have their relationship change from best friends to former friends, and major characters who begin a romance during their passage of time might find themselves married after it. However, you can also choose to add or change a relationship that might begin a new chapter between two characters who didn't previously have a close connection. Think about the different individual relationships you had in childhood, even if they weren't reflected by your childhood relationship card. What might those have turned into as the years go by? And then here we'll go. Adult relationship is confidence. The giver relies on the taker of this card to talk out things that are hard to talk about with anyone else. Consider together, what secret did you recently share? How gorgeous is... I love that. Again, 100% would have these as little badges or pins or... I mean, well, you get the cards anyway, but like little stickers. I just love the colours and the vibrancy of them. So, wait, there's an expansion pack. So, family and passion deck. So, Castles in the Air has more than 17 adult relationships and 10 desires to explore. However, if you want even more options to your game, the family and passions deck includes 20 more desires that give you a wealth of options for adult characters. It also contains duplicates of some common adult relationships in case you want to have 2 married couples or a blazing bonfire of all flames. Oh, I love that idea that you could have like 2 married couples. When we did Good Society, when I ran it for a YouTube channel last year for Christian's Brain, we had it because it was like a Valentine's Day special thing. We had it so it was actually 2 couples that were playing, but it was like people getting together and stuff like that. So I love the idea that we could have them as actual married couples and stuff like that. That could be really fun. A different kind of story. And they've got other game concepts. Yes, I can see we're getting to the end of time. Gosh, an hour and a half in. Gosh. So other game concepts, we've got the resolve tokens. So these are tokens that allow you to change the narrative details about the world and twist events in your character's favour. They are named for and reflect a character's determination to pursue their goals. Resolve tokens give you the power to shape the story in a number of influential ways. They can be used to compel other characters to act, create opportunities, balls, and convenient distractions, and to find out delicious pieces of gossip and scandal. Monologue tokens. Internal monologue is a ubiquitous and compelling feature of Alcott and Montgomery's work that also appears in Castles in the Air. Each player receives a monologue token at the start of each cycle. You may play your monologue token on another player at any time during the game. When you do so, the other player must immediately reveal their major characters in a monologue, disclosing their thoughts, their feelings, and plans. You will choose your own resolve and monologue tokens to use in the game. You might like to use buttons or beads or even dried acorns, pine cones, or little silk flowers. You could, but you're going to lose them like mad. Like, yeah, interesting. I guess for children that'd be interesting, perhaps. But yeah, just something that isn't easily swallowed. I know people who put dice in their mouth, and it's like, don't do that. That's dangerous. Okay, connections. These are supporting characters that hold tremendous influence over the lives, situation, or hearts of the major characters they are attached to. Characters may love or hate their connections, but their influence cannot be denied. During childhood, each major character will start out with only one connection to represent their small circle, generally a parent or a grandparent or other guardian. Each major character has a list on their character role sheet of the connections most likely to be influential in their lives that will provide them with good options when creating connections during backstory. Later, during the transition to adulthood, players will create a second connection to represent their widening world based on the suggested connections of their adulthood role. For suggested connections, see Chapter 9. So here's an example. Yes, so this is an example of the connection sheet, so this is the character sheet you have. It's not said it yet, and maybe it's going to say in the next page, so I might be just like, quick here, you know. But basically, once you've made your major character in the backstory, you then create the connection sheet. And you see here, we've got an example of Francine Summer, pronouns she, they, the connection to the major character of Felix Frost, and their relationship to them is that they're a spouse. And there you go, at the bottom it's here. It's played by Ash. Now, Ash is not going to be the person that plays Felix Fox. It's going to be somebody else. So the idea is that you get to play with these connections, but you're not talking to yourself. Somebody else gets to play them for them. And I love that. Delicious. They're making all these characters. The only thing, my big advice, though, for that is make sure you don't make the connections more interesting than your major characters, because then they should be major characters. Is that it? I think that's it in terms of character stuff. Let me go to the 2-page thing. Join the Kickstarter in May. There you go. So that was an incredibly quick go through. Like, what, an hour and 40? That's not too bad for me. There you go. So that's Castles in the Air. So let's recap. Let's go. What do we like about it? Castles in the Air. Like the look of that. Yeah, sorry, I should go back to that. You can see, so yeah, this is their main promotional image they've got of all the different characters and stuff. And yeah, I like actually thinking about it. I didn't realise this before. And these are all the children, and here are the adults above them. How sweet. How sweet indeed. So, let's talk about Castle in the Air. So overall, I really like it. It's different to what I thought it was. I genuinely thought it was just going to be like the same Good Society system. And it is. Like, if you've played Good Society, no doubt you'd be able to pick this up as easily as Good Society can be. I'm interested about the facilitator also playing a major character. I have strong feelings about game masters having what's called like DMPCs, so like, you know, dungeon master player characters, because I'd rather, for me personally, I like focusing when I'm running games and I've got the story in my head and I want people to enjoy the story I have and help them. If I've got my own character in it, I know what's going to happen. I know certain things. I find it a struggle to separate those things personally. So I don't know if I would want to play a major character if I was facilitating this game personally. Because I do like playing the connections, because that's something that you can do as the facilitator, is that if there's any leftover connections, you can play them, which I love. I think that's fine, because they're just basically NPCs, I think. I love the difference in the children age. I wish there was more themes for those novel chapters, like to give, or at least, because we've got 3 times in the novel chapters where you would, but in the childhood phase that you would do it. I'd like it if we were able to maybe play that cycle through twice, but then again, the childhood phase is supposed to be 3 to 4, like sessions, each of which are like 3 hours, and then you get onto the adult phase, which then you could play for as long as you want to until you want to go to the end. That is quite a hard. I feel like, because this is the thing, Good Society, as I said, to get a good go at Good Society, if you want to play a full game of it, it's 6 to 8 sessions, each session's being 3 hours, and that doesn't necessarily include the setup and collaboration part, the backstory part. And the things that I know, it's so worthwhile, absolutely worthwhile. But here, it's because you can't. Like the fact that you're already playing 4 sessions and then you get to the second half of the game. I wonder if people will be like, oh, I don't want to play. I only want to play through once of the adult phase. So I don't know. I know I would love to give it a go, but I don't know how much. It's trying to convince people to give the time, and it's a people person thing, not this game at all. I just don't know how I would personally get people into doing it. And maybe it's one of those things where I just apply to one of these RPG networks and go, hey, I'm running Castles in the Sky. It's going to be 12 sessions, you know. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Because I know it has so much potential, this game. I love the colours of the backs of the cards, and that there's going to be another deck. So we've got the base deck, and we've got that Family and Passions deck, which looks gorgeous. It is so beautifully laid out. I hadn't even noticed these little panels here. And where it says overview, so we're in the overview chapter here, obviously. I mean, I know they're the same, but that's so gorgeous. I love that little details there. Obviously, I know the art is missing, but that's fine. I agree with you. It's a me thing, though. Yeah, again, the DM NPC stuff. It is. I just find it very hard because ultimately, for me, I know there's a whole thing about like the GM is just another player at the table, and I agree with that. Like the DM is not being like, oh, you should play in my story, and you should be all these things. I feel though like that's enough for me. I just can't take on any more of that load. I don't want to necessarily take the kill from someone. You know, when you're doing like a big boss fight, I don't want that. That's not for me. That's not my story, because I've been playing the bad guy. So I don't know. Each to their own. I love the font they've used for the major like headings, and the colours look really well here. And this is the thing. I think I said it before. I like the colours of like there's this sort of theme of like purple and yellow, but it's not all the text. Like you could print this out in black and white, and it won't be too heavy. Or if you print it out colour, like sure, there's a little bit, but it's not fully in a certain colour, which could print, use up a lot of ink. I want to see this reference sheet in full. I want to see this reference sheet absolutely in full. I wish there was like, I know they're just showing previews, but I'd love to see like the reference sheet and a character sheet of both the children role and the adulthood role together. I think that would be cool, super fun. Like just to have a quick look at it. Like look at these colours, absolutely stunning. I think Cat Cool does it really well in campaign. Oh, that's really cool. If you could send me a link to that, that'd be really good. Because I'd love to know. Cause again, it's something I'd love to learn how to run a DMPC. Because there are games that require it, like this one, for example. And the Castle in the Sky thing here. It's such a very wholesome, beautiful thing. Again, yeah, I think we've got a good idea of what we are expecting and the connection sheets there. So yeah, I think overall it's a nice little chapter. Again, as I said, it's not a playable one. It would have been nice, I think, if we had the QR code already embedded for the video tutorials, because I do think they are already out, those particular tutorials. It would be nice, as always, to have some alt text, but I appreciate people don't remember that sort of thing. Like here, we've got some text here from Joe Marshall quotes. It'd be nice to have that. Yeah. I'm excited though. I think, like I said, so it's different. As I was saying, it was different because obviously the facilitator has their own major character. This bosom enemy type thing, that the idea that you are self-sabotaging as well as having this connection as well, could be quite fun to play with. And yeah, the whole point of it, you starting as having almost like two major characters of a child, then grows into an adult, but having this, yeah, it's really cool. And like I said, I think what I'm sure people will ask, can we make a character from Good Society that then travels over and then goes into this game? And I think you can, but you'd have to make sure that the character sheet fits, because Good Society character sheets or the playbooks here would not fit in with this one, from what I know. Yeah, I think the only thing I'd say, and I know it's so silly, there's lots of mentions to Alicott and Montgomery several times in the text. So when reading it, like I know it's trying to remind you of what this means. I don't think you need. I think it's up to 7 times is when you know it's about this. I think because it got to a point where it was saying it in like every other sentence. And it's like you don't need the most. I kind of what I would like. So here we've got obviously these the list of touchstones and resources about the different adaptations of Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. Great, like that. Would be nice if they had that here as well. Other examples include Bullet Point, Rebecca of Sunnybrook, etc. I do like the heads up on like saying, hey, some of the older ones, problematic. Be careful. And then some examples of other people's perspectives, so that we're not just having the white English-speaking Protestant point of view. So I think that's awesome as well. But again, would be nice if that was bullet pointed and like signalled out in some way, for sure. I'm such a fan of Story Brewers. Alas for the Awful Sea is great. I have that, and I haven't looked through that either, so maybe I'll put that on the list. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Hayley and V's work. I think they're they're doing some very exciting stuff. And like Fight with Spirit, the sports game, which we looked at on a previous Too Long Didn't Read, that was interesting because that felt to me it had to be a physical game. And I did get the physical version in the end, and it's pretty good. And I like, they tell interesting stories. They tell stories that we would not ever be able to tell in popular systems such as D&D or Pathfinder, I don't think. Or because obviously those systems are meant for combat. But even like the sports one, it's not combat or anything, but you do play sports. And I like it. It's super fun. So yeah. So there you go. That is Castles in the Sky. I'll put another link to, I don't know if it goes to the Kickstarter or if it goes to the Story Brewers when it comes up. Yeah, it goes to the Story Brewers page, but from there you can go to the Kickstarter and go support. I might just check if my pledge. I think my pledge is only PDF, but maybe I'll go get the physical version because we've got about 8 days left on the Kickstarter. And let me just check. When is it going? What's the timelines for it? Castles in the Sky. The timeline for it. The timeline for it, unfortunately, is March 2025 for at least the digital versions. Oh, so sad. And yeah, it's March 2025. Hopefully that is the same timeline. But I mean, it's a long time. But in the meantime, I 100% recommend checking out Good Society and get to grips with that and then go from there. But yeah, they've got some really cool stretch goals as well. I think they've got other playbooks and stuff. Let me have a look. Oh, you know what? Why don't I show you whilst I'm looking? Because that's probably... Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Yeah, and they've got some examples of some 4 years of extensive playtesting. They've got some examples of stuff where they've told stories, which I think is quite nice. We've got the artwork there, gorgeous. Oh, so that's when you put the cards in to play. Oh, I like that. So it's almost like you set it up like that. It's quite cute. So I'm just looking, and then in the full character sheet, you see that's where you put all the cards. Which again, I do like that. There was like the Spectaculars, which was another one, which was like a modular type superhero game where you'd put the character sheet in, and then you could put cards into it was almost like a plastic tray, and then you could change out the character powers every so often as well, which is quite. Again, I like that. There's a childhood quiz. Oh well, I will try that. And there you go. There's the actual play stuff there as well, so you can go and check it out already. But if only didn't. See, they've done 1 episode, 2 episodes. So yeah, it'd be interesting how much has it been edited down? Perhaps, I wonder. Sorry, I'm just looking for anything else to see. There you go. The rewards. So we've got like the hardbook cover. Got the base deck. Oh, that card is beautiful. The passion deck, the digital one. Online support play. Here we go. Using our custom-built character keeper, designed in a format optimized for online play. It also contains handy tools and references from the game. Nice. Custom built. Oh, that's exciting. I wanted to see if there's any. What about the? I don't want to pledge levels of stretch goals. That's what I was looking for. Stretch goals. Whoop. So 2 extra bosom enemies. Ooh, adult role is the activist. Nice. Duet guide. Oh, so we can have a 2-player guide. That would be great. 2 extra relations. Firebrand. In the big city. Yeah, it didn't actually talk about the town creation as well, but obviously it's their thing. March 2025 for the physical version, but you can play the full game now on the Story Brewers Discord. Yes, I've heard that. Thank you so much, Nerdy Revelries. Yeah, I'd highly recommend checking out the Story Brewers Discord to chat away and see if you can get into a play test group for that. Thank you for that. Yes, I had forgotten. And yet there's some more actual plays there, so there's loads and loads of stuff you can check out. But thank you so much, friends, for chatting with me for this, your Friday afternoons or evenings, wherever you are. Let's go back to Big Fiona face so we can finish off this. Yeah, thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this, obviously please check out the Kickstarter, but if you've enjoyed these, we do this fairly often on this channel, the Too Long Didn't Read tabletop RPG streams, where we look at different RPGs, discuss what we like, what we find interesting, and if there's any improvements, we can suggest an accessibility stuff. My name's Fiona. I run, she says, we're getting ready to type, What Am I Rolling?, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast where we do lots of different RPG systems and interviews with game designers. We haven't been doing much of that recently because I have moved continents. But that's all fun. I'm slowly doing some world building just now, just to tide us over, but we've got some other actual plays cooking in the background. You convinced me to buy it. Edward Spence, I'm surprised you're not already like planning your own games of it, my friend. You're like, right, let's go. Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna have to check it to make sure I've got the physical version coming. I think I've got the PDF, so that's fine. I already loved Good Society, and this seems the perfect expansion to an already beautiful system. I 100% agree. Well, you've run it. Yeah, Ed Spence ran a Good Society actual play for RP Geeks, which I can highly recommend you go check out as well. So again, there's loads of actual plays and stuff. So even if you're not sure, go and check out an actual play because they are beautiful. And I hear Ed Spence is all right. Collab, mate. Ed, you are like the busiest man I have ever met. I'm up for it. I'm 6 times. I was like, let's do it. Thanks, Fiona. No worries. Thank you so much, Sakai. I very much appreciate it. And I'll make sure I will send you those improviser things as well. If you're like, Fiona, this has been a fun hour and a bit, but I only like D&D because that is the 50th anniversary. Fine. I also do the DM's Book Club, which is a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. And we've been going through, we're doing our travel book club, our second travel book club. We've been going through the Inner Planes, which is coming to a short end soon. But that's been quite fun. And the best part about DM's Book Club is that you don't have to start at the beginning. You can listen to any episode that catches your interest because we don't follow any chronological order. We don't do any planning. We just find a topic that we find interesting and discuss it and see what we can improve about it, because not all D&D stuff is great, but a way to improve it and use it for any system, because we always think any bit of lore, any story that interests you can be put in any story you wish to make. We read the books, so you don't have to. So good. I tend to kickstart everything they do. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think Good Society, they're just great. Not Good Society. Story Brewers, they're just great people. And I'm going to have to check out Alas for the Awful Sea after the stream as well. Anything else to say? I'm sure there is. Oh, next week, I'll quickly just whilst people are here before they file out, I will there's my... yes, I know Castles and Sky is happening right now. That's what I'm doing. Next week, we have some Too Long Didn't Reads scheduled. We've got something called View Screen next week. View Scream, sorry, which is like a horror LARP, which looks quite exciting. And the reason I was like, oh, I want to check that out, that was also on RP Geeks as a one-shot, which was interesting. Then we've got, so that's Tuesday at about 5 p.m. BST, so 11 a.m., sorry, Central. Then we've got Universalist. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. That is, it's like a world building game, which just came out about 22 years ago, and people still talk about it. So we'll check that out on Thursday at the same time. And then finally next Friday, we've got Hollows, a quick start. We're going to look at that. So that's come out by Rowan Rook and Descartes. I don't know. I think that Kickstarter's done pretty well. But yeah, we're going to check out the full quick start for that next Friday. So yeah, I'm trying to do 2 to 3 of these streams a week, around about 5 p.m. BST, 11 a.m. Central, just to keep me ticking over. I'm doing lots of other things, I'm sure. I'm busy too, guys. Not all of us can make it to UK Games Expo. But thank you so much, team. I very much appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, whether you are buying all the tabletop RPG dice and leather jackets and teacups, or if you're just having a great weekend. Please have the best time. I'm going to try and find the end of stream button. Fiona, we're not busy. We're sat here in our jammies. Guys, are you not playing Good Society right now? Why are you not playing games? All right. Well, much love, friends. I was thinking about doing a stream tomorrow. We'll see. I'll put up a note if I am, but if anything, it'll be just a cool, relaxed stream, maybe doing some... So, I'll try and see if there's another solo game I can look up. But thank you so much, guys. I hope you've had a wonderful evening, a wonderful time checking out the VOD, etc. Enjoy the weekend, no matter what you do. Play more games, as always, and I will find the end of stream button. There it is. I'm going to wave awkwardly at the camera, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Have fun, friends.